Well, I think entrepreneurs of today are much luckier than we were. The problems that we faced were primarily in removing the various hurdles that the government had put in our path to success. There was no current account convertibility, which meant that if I had to travel abroad for even one day, I had to apply to RBI, it would take 14 days, all of that. I must tell you a story here. Our friend, Mr. K.V. Ramani, he applied for 3 days foreign exchange, where he specified that he would spend 2 days in Paris and 1 day in Frankfurt. So when he went to Paris, the person that he was supposed to meet on the second day, he had gone to the headquarters in Frankfurt, and he said, "Why don't you meet me in Frankfurt?" So the result was, Mr. K.V. Ramani spent 1 day in Paris and 2 days in Frankfurt. Those days, not only did we have to very clearly specify the purpose of travel, we had to even submit a tour report on how we spent our time. So Ramani, very extremely honest and very decent guy, he came back and he submitted a report that said that as against the RBI approval of 2 days in Paris and 1 day in Frankfurt, he spent 1 day in Paris and 2 days in Frankfurt. He promptly got a show cause notice. When I used to tell Bimal, when I was on the board of RBI, Bimal used to laugh. He wouldn't believe. They would say, we can't imagine that this was the kind of India. Our problems were current account convertibility, licensing. We had to go to Delhi 50 times and then wait in the corridors of Department of Electronics to get a license to import a computer worth $100,000, which today is priced at maybe $10,000. Third, there were no telephone connections. Forget about data connections. It would take 7 years to get a telephone connection. The joke in India used to be that half the people are waiting for a telephone, the other half are waiting for a dial tone. So our problems were all of that nature. However, today, your problems are, how do I bring innovation and compete with the best people in the marketplace and win? That is a much tougher problem. The problem that every one of you is handling is a problem which I don't know if we could have handled, because our mindset was not one of using innovation and succeeding in the marketplace. We did develop over a period of 4 or 5 years or 6, 7 years, but in the beginning, it was a difficult thing. The second problem you have, which we didn't have, is talent. Today, whether it is in India or in the Silicon Valley or Route 128 or Research Triangle Park, the biggest challenge is access to talent. And the salaries have gone sky high, even in India. Number two, while we have raised the quantity of people coming out of our colleges, the quality is sadly going down. Let me give you a data point to buttress that. In 2002, I conducted an experiment. Those days, our selection rate was 5 people for every 700 resumes we received. In other words, 7 for every 500, 1.4%. We conducted the same test for the teachers of the various engineering colleges. It was a wonderfully designed test. Do you know what the success rate was? 0.14%. No, you can imagine if it was so in 2002, 18 years later, where there's so many students passing out and so many colleges, that the quality of talent is going down. Therefore, your challenge is, how do you mount excellent training programs within your companies, even though you're small, or use considerable amount of money to get these people trained. And then there is, of course, attrition. The attrition for you people is so much more than the attrition that we faced. So I think you're fighting a much tougher battle. However, your ambitions are also much higher. I remember in 1981, I had told all my younger colleagues that we would go public by 1991. And we went public on 27th February 1993. In other words, it took us 12 years to go public. But now you're not happy. I mean, you're not satisfied. You want to go public even if you're not making profit. So your ambitions are high. Your challenges are much tougher than we face. But what that means is you are better warriors than we were. That's what I would say.